Bo wants to talk about why he believes in God. Bo, you're on with Brian and Laura.
Hello,
Hey.
Bo. How are you? Are you there? Brian, do you hear Bo?
Crap. Say that again. They couldn't.
Oh, Bo,
Bo,
can you
are
hear
you
us?
with us?
I can hear you guys. Hopefully you can hear me.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
we
we can
couldn't
hear
at
you.
first. We can hear you now. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. What have you got for us tonight?
So somebody came on a Facebook group that I belong to and asked if any Christians would be interested in coming on the show. So here I am, I guess. We never really discussed the topic, but I guess we'd want to talk about God.
Oh, you just
About
cut out a
God?
little bit. But yeah, it sounds like you want to talk about why you believe in God.
So I'm going to try something else with my audio here.
Okay.
Hopefully
Yeah, it
that'll
sounds
work
like
a
it's
little bit
cutting in
better.
and out just a little bit. But yeah, so while you're doing that, since you said you don't know a lot about this show, we really just sit around and discuss any kind of supernatural claim. And we discuss how we would look at it from sort of a skeptical perspective, how you would test what claims are true or not, or how you can determine that. So really anything you bring to the table, we're interested in hearing about and talking about.
Well, very cool.
Ooh, and it sounds like we have you without it going in
So
and out.
I guess,
so.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. We're listening. All ears.
Okay. So I guess where I would start with the existence of God from a supernatural point. I base my belief on science, laws of physics. I also base it on information and information not being physical. As far as physics and everything like that go, I would say the only three explanations I can come up with for a universe even existing would be A, the universe has always been here, the universe created itself out of nothing, or a supernatural creator brought it into existence. And I think the first two fail based on the laws of physics.
So are you
my initial comment?
Which laws of physics are we looking at? Did it fail? Did you
Which
say
laws of physics?
Yeah.
Well, we could look at the first two laws of thermodynamics.
Mm-hmm.
We could look at entropy. We can look at matter and energy not being able to create itself out of nothing.
Okay. Entropy. I like the topic of entropy. For the listeners here, can you just define entropy for me?
I guess at a very, I'm not a physicist, but at a basic level, I would say things tend to break down. Fuel expends its available energy, that sort of thing.
Okay. And
for the universe to be eternal, I believe it would be cold and dead by now. I don't believe we would still have fires burning, and that's why I say the universe cannot be eternal.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to jump in really quick with that and ask a question, if that's okay. Yeah, so you said there were three different reasons that you can think of for the universe to have come into existence. Do you think that it's possible there's any more reasons, or are those just like, are they the only three you can think of, or are they the only three that you think are possible?
Well, if anybody could come up with a fourth, I would be all ears, and I would love to hear that. I've been asking this question for quite a long time, and I've never heard a fourth option that was valid. But yeah, if you could come up with one, I'd be more than willing to listen to that.
Yeah, and just real quick, I don't think that either one of us are like physicists or are specifically geared towards answering that level of questioning, but I have heard multiple answers that are beyond just those three. But my question is, like, we don't know much about the beginnings of the universe other than what we can kind of hypothesize mathematically. So I'm wondering how you come to those conclusions that those are the only three.
And even mathematically, we just go back so far to where what they call the singularity is so far that is our models, what we have as our understanding of the laws of physics kind of break down at that point. But that's not to say that's the beginning of the universe, but anything that happens before that's speculative, including what kind of physical laws were in place, including laws like what you're talking about, entropy and things like that. We can't speculate about anything beyond that point scientifically. That's where science ends right now. We push it back and we push it back a little bit at a time, sometimes fractions of a second at a time, but we keep pushing it back. But anything before that, we just don't know.
Mhm.
Sure, and I would say I base my position on what we do know, what we can test, and what we do see in laboratories. For instance, when we use super colliders and we create energy from matter, like what would have happened with an energetic Big Bang, what we find is we have equal amounts of matter and antimatter, and we don't find that anywhere in the universe today. We don't find antimatter essentially anywhere when we should have equal amounts. So I think what I base my belief on is what we do know. And I think that overwhelmingly points to a supernatural creator, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess my question would be twofold. One is so if you have this, the only way that that this could have come about is if it was created, and you can't go back before the Big Bang or before what we call the singularity. What is your explanation for how the creator was created? What is sort of your reasoning there with that? So if a universe can't be eternal,
Well, I mean,
how can a creator be eternal?
for the Big Bang to happen, the singularity would have to come from somewhere. The matter would have to
Right.
come from somewhere. The energy would have to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think that it just popping into existence would violate known physical laws.
Would a god not violate known physical laws as well? For a god to pop into position, I think a god popping into existence would be a lot more improbable and than the singularity. That's just the way that looks to me, because the singularity is mathematical. We trace it back to that. As far as a god, though, I don't know that there's any mathematical principles that would necessarily confirm a deity.
Sure, and you'd have to obviously argue with somebody that believes that God popped into existence. As a Christian, I believe that God is eternal, but I also believe that, based on foundational Christian teachings, the first page basically of the Bible, that God is a spirit, he's not physical, therefore he would not be bound to the physical laws.
So my question about that is, how does that work exactly? Because you're making scientific claims about the physical world that you say proves the existence of this supernatural thing. And I guess my question is, how do you come to that conclusion? Where is the evidence for that? Or how does that work, like, scientifically?
Where have we seen the spiritual?
So what I'm saying is based on...
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, basically what I'm saying is based on
I talked over you.
Everything we know about the physical laws, we know that the physical universe couldn't bring itself into existence, and it could not be eternal. And I think that leaves us with the only viable scientific option being a supernatural creator, somebody outside of the physical had to have brought it into existence.
Why does it have to be somebody? I guess I don't understand that. Where we make that leap from it being something outside of our known understanding of the cosmos, must set this into motion.
Not outside our understanding of the universe. I'm saying outside of the physical, something not physical.
And that's my question: is how do you determine that? Like, how did you come to the determination that absolutely it is true that something exists outside of the physical world?
Well, that's my whole point. If it can't be created from nothing and eternal.
So what are the properties of a God that exists outside?
That I know of. If you can come up with a fourth option, I would love to explore that. But I've never heard a viable fourth option.
I don't know that this is a viable fourth option. I think we're making a logical leap here to go from from what we understand about the physical laws of our universe, that things need to adhere to these laws, but our laws break down when we go back this far. So therefore, there's a God beyond that. That doesn't follow to me. I'm not sure where you get. I can get we go back here and then we don't know, which is what science is saying right now. I don't know where we go from we don't know to that there's a God.
Yeah.
Hey Brian, can I just correct one thing you said? You said if we go back far enough that the laws of physics break down. That's not the point I'm making. I'm definitely saying that the laws of physics have not broken down. I'm saying they were true. The universe came into existence, and they're true now. I'm not saying they broke down. I'm saying
that's actually what the Big Bang is. It's where our
atheist secularist that goes with the Big Bang that has to violate the known laws of physics and say, well, the laws of physics had to have been different when the universe came into existence. So that wouldn't be my position.
So just to make a correction on the scientific claim here, it's not that the actual laws of physics breaks down. It's that our understanding of the laws of physics breaks down. So we just do not have the understanding to determine what happened at a certain point back into our past based on what we see in the present moment. That doesn't mean that there are no laws that can account for the Big Bang. It just means that we don't know them.
And that's fair. And that's why I would say that the evidence and what we do know and what we do test and what we do observe points to a supernatural creator at this point.
And that's where I'm confused, because I see a lot of physical stuff that I can test and touch and talk about, but I don't see how a being with intent and with action and with intelligence can exist but not exist, and be physical but not physical, and have thought but not thought. I'm just having a really hard time wrapping my mind around this being.
Thoughts aren't physical.
They are when it comes to chemical reactions.
The fundamental Christian position is that God is a spirit. He's not physical.
Okay, so how does that work?
Physical laws.
Thoughts
aren't physical. Ideas aren't.
Thoughts are chemical and electroreceptor reactions, synapse firing in your brain. They're physical. We can actually X-ray your head and see them going off in your mind. They can ask you questions. They can have you play the violin.
You can't taste the thought. You can't.
You can measure it. What
does the thought feel like? You can't. Anyway.
Okay, so I guess my question is, you have this concept. I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just, so my question that I don't feel like you've answered, that I'm kind of trying to wrap my mind around, is you have this concept of this thing that you know exists, and this thing that you know exists has properties that you know work, and that they explain the beginning of the universe and why we're here in our reality. And my question is, how do you come to that determination that this being that has these properties actually exists versus an idea or a theory that you have in your head?
I base it on the first two laws of thermodynamics, that the universe, a rock, a fire, cannot create itself from nothing, and that a fire cannot burn forever. Those are the first two laws of thermodynamics. And if those two are both true and hold up, then what would be another plausible explanation for the universe coming into existence other than a physical, powerful, personal, which I could get into later as to why I would think it would be personal, being bringing that.
Yeah, we'd have a long leap to get from where we're at right now to the personal part.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, but I haven't really, so far the stuff you've listed off, I haven't really agreed with much of it. So let's go back through though. Like, I don't want to get into personal. What was the first characteristic that you were giving? Okay. So first of all, the thermodynamics. Okay. So the second law of thermodynamics is that, entropy, essentially, what we talked about at the beginning. It's, things winding down. Essentially, it's you hear it as an argument for the universe not being as old as it is. Yeah. So how old do you think that the universe is based on what we see? Do you think that it's the 13.8 billion years that the model shows?
No, I don't. And what's interesting is I just heard a study come out not too long ago, now that they may be off years. But that aside, I do believe, based on the science and the Bible.
Okay, so if the model is built, well, hold on, because we need to address that real quick. So if the model's built to show that the state we're in right now, as far as moving towards entropy, is what they expect based on the model that we've built, then it's what we're seeing is what we expect to be seeing within the framework of the model, right?
What he's asking is there a flaw that you're seeing to the model that we have that shows that our universe is as old as we think it is? which I'll grant is updated as we get more and more information about the universe.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot of issues with the dating of the universe. But I mean, getting back to the entropy point, my point really isn't how old it is or how young it is. My point is that it can't be eternal.
Who said it had to be eternal?
That we see out in space.
That's definitely not my model. Doesn't say it's eternal.
Well, I'm just making the point that it can't be.
Well, you're making a scientific claim that now, so you're saying it can't be eternal. We don't know that for sure based on the evidence that we have. We can say it appears not to be.
Well, surely it appears not. Fire can't burn forever.
Right, but we don't know what's beyond our universe.
Cold and dead. It would all be
right.
It would be cold and dead. There would be no fires in outer space. I mean,
but that's not what our model shows. Our model shows that it'll be where it is now. Why are you thinking it would be cold and dead?
Because a fire can't burn forever. It would expend its available energy, and if it's eternal, if it's always been burning, it can't just a perpetual motion machine is
so anything that's burning's always been burning.
No, I'm saying if it was always burning, it would not still be burning. I'm saying all the fires would have eventually burned out. Just like when you have a campfire, it eventually burns out.
Okay, but let's
this campfire has been here for millions.
Yeah, but you can throw new logs on it. It's new fuel can be added to the fire. You're making an assumption that the model for our model to work, that it had to always been burning to not begin at the Big Bang, and that's not the case. It's that we don't know from before, but the fuel's been there. We don't know how long or what ignited it. Using your fire analogy, we don't know what ignited it. So, or when it ignited, even because, like I said, it's just, the Big Bang is just when our model breaks down, when our understanding of the physics of the time period breaks down. That's not saying it's the beginning. But we don't know is the current answer. But no one's claiming it had to go on forever or anything like that, or that it started at this point. It's I don't know is the current answer.
Okay, yeah, and I've talked to plenty of atheists, and I would say that that's probably the majority view, is that it is eternal. To be honest with you, that's kind of what I found.
That's kind of a bit of an argument ad populum, where it's like, because a lot of atheists that may or may not be educated in science believe a certain way, that therefore it represents like the scientific view or the what we think is the correct view. I would say that's a little bit it's an incorrect way of looking at it, because I can tell you from my perspective as an atheist, most atheists I know don't think that the universe is eternal. So now it becomes like a tit for tat, you versus me. What do atheists believe? But what I'm more interested in is why you believe what you believe. And it sounds an awful lot to me like sort of an argument from ignorance. And don't take offense to the term ignorance. It just means like what you don't know, right? So you're arguing, well, I don't know how this is possible, therefore God. And I'm trying to get from the I don't know how this is possible to the God. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't take any offense to that. I know exactly what you mean. The argument from incredulity or a God of the gaps theory, and that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying it's a positive answer based on what we know, based on what we see, based on what we can test.
So what can we say based on the laws that you're talking about? Like, okay, the universe, let's assume for the sake of argument that you're correct, the universe has to have had a beginning and an end, and that the universe is going to run out of energy, that it's going to burn out. How do you get from those two things being true to therefore what created the universe is this thing with these properties? That's what I keep kind of going back to, is I think we all agree on what we observe now, and I think we all agree on what is currently our reality. Where we disagree is where you get from the I don't know to the therefore here's this thing with these properties. And so that's what I'm trying to kind of eke out of you. It sounds redundant, but I'm just not quite understanding how you come to that conclusion.
And I would just reiterate that I've been asking for a fourth position for many years. I've never heard anything viable. So what I guess it boils down to, and we can move on to a different topic after this, but what it would boil down to for me is that as far as what I've seen and what I've...
Oh, you cut out a little bit. Are you still there?
Based on the science that, yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you cut out.
Yeah,
So if you
I
could
can
just
hear you.
restate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know how much you heard, but I said we can we could move on after this. But what I'm still looking for a fourth viable that I'd be more than willing to consider. But based on what we know now, based on what we study, based on all the science that I've studied, it seems to me the only plausible and scientific explanation is a supernatural creator. I can't come up with a fourth option. And I'm just saying, for me personally, that's where the evidence points to.
I don't think that we've even got close to that being what the evidence points to. We would like to talk to you about some of your other stuff here, some of your additional things that you had mentioned that we could get to. Unfortunately, we're short on time. We got a few calls waiting in the queue. So will we be able to get you to call back maybe next week or the week after? If you want to talk to me the week after.
Sure, I'll call back and we can talk about how life is information based.
That'd be a good topic to pick back up on.
Definitely.
Yeah. It was fun talking to you, though. I really enjoyed it.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Bo.
Sorry for the phone issues.
Oh, it might not even be on your end. I don't know. Don't worry about it.